Hey everybody, we are live. It is back this week in pro wrestling. We got a lot to talk about this week, but before we get started, we got this guy right over here. Introduce yourself.
Once again, it is me, the J to the E to the double F -free. I'm Jeffrey Harris. He's Mike Sandoval, and welcome back to This Week in Wrestling. And what a week it was.
Yes, it was, and I forgot to push the record on the soundboard again, so we're just gonna have to take the sound from the video. Always smart from me to be able to do that. But
are we recording now? Are we live?
Yeah, we are live. We are live. It's just the sound. The audio is for the podcast, but now it just takes me do a couple of extra steps to put it onto the podcast. But either way, we got the show running. It's going. So let's start. First topic of the day. What did you have?
Wow, I mean, what a what a night it was. Fight for the Fallen. AEW Dynamite. We had I doubt we will see many more death matches on Dynamite or just death matches on TNT in general. But then again, we did get the exploding death match but that was at the pay-per-view event with Omega and Moxley. But wow, we had pizza cutters, we had fluorescent lights, and all sorts of blood and gore.
We had fluorescent lights broken in half and shaped into damaging pieces, and then right on the forehead.
And apparently it was too hot for Domino's. Domino's apparently is disavowing last night's death match between Nick Gage and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho just barely managed to eke out the win over the deathmatch king Nick Gage, and so he passed the latest labor of Jericho. But now they've alienated one of their advertisers in Domino's. So was it worth it? Was it worth it?
It was worth it
to put a death match on TNT.
It was worth it
with all the adult content in order to tick off Domino's Pizza.
Like I say, go to Pizza Hut. They will buy advertising. Domino's doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They want to cater to the little kids. Go to WWE then.
Okay, so here's the deal. This comes from Front Office Sports today by Michael McCarthy. It says Domino's Pizza is disavowing any involvement or knowledge of All Elite Wrestling's bloody telecast in which one pro wrestler seemingly wielded a pizza cutter to slice his opponent's head open. The fast food giant might also pull its advertising schedule from AEW, which airs Wednesday nights on Warner Media's TNT network. Let's see. Domino's was not involved nor had any knowledge of the gory scene on the AEW Dynamite main event Wednesday night that showed wrestler Nick Gage apparently slicing Chris Jericho's head open with a pizza cutter. Spokeswoman Jenny Faraker Petco told Front Office Sports on Thursday.
That's what you're waiting for, right? I mean, you're waiting for Domino's to give a response right now, aren't you?
Well, she also said, we share the concerns expressed about this incident and the content of this TV 14 rated program and are assessing our advertising presence on it going forward. AEW posted a video of the bloody content on this Twitter feed. So I'm going to send you this tweet from AEW Dynamite.
Definitely.
Just so people
skin on.
I mean, look, the show is TV 14, so I guess we can show this on YouTube. So I guess it's not too hot for YouTube. Here we go.
Cool.
Its bloody matches have turned off some fans and critics, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, how many fans are really turned off by this, though? Really?
Not many. I am sorry.
Okay. So there is an age felt. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So this is what was happening. He carved him up with the pizza cutter. He's carving a pizza into Jericho's head.
Exactly.
All right, now come on. You know he's not like. That's probably one of the more gimmick parts of the match. Yes, Jericho's already bladed and gimmicked at that point. Now, when we say bladed and gimmicked in pro wrestling, usually when a wrestler is bleeding from their forehead, they take a little razor. they cut a little like nick in their forehead because you bleed a lot from your forehead, and it doesn't leave a lot of lasting damage or scarring.
Yeah.
Basically. So that's why when you see color or blood in a match, like wrestlers will cut their forehead to make it look worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
So
And then let's be honest here. It's like chances are the pizza cutter was dull.
yeah.
It just spreads the blood.
I doubt it did that much damage. The pizza cutter part was probably one of the more performance-based aspects of that match, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so then let's see. Now, that said, AEW did good numbers for last night. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics reports they did 1.108 million viewers. Now, keep in mind we have the Tokyo Olympics going on right now.
Yep.
So they didn't drop. They didn't drop much in viewership for last week. Last week they did 1.148 million viewers. So they did slightly less this week, but still over 1.1 million viewers.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting number. The key demo rating for last night in 18 through 49 was 0.45. So the rating in the key demo last night was higher than last week. Even though the viewership was like slightly lower, the ratings went up. So I think AEW is clearly okay with being a more adult, edgier product.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working for them. But what do you think?
I think it is working for them. I think it's a smart move for one, because let's be honest. How many people are actually watching WWE who are like real little kids? On a weekly
I'm sure there are
some, but I think the majority of their audience is over 25, 30. And I think
I don't know. I don't even know how the ratings work. But come on, WWE has a large youth fan base. There are probably plenty of little kids that watch WWE.
You know how Nielsen is. It isn't an exact. It's not an exact science. You're going to whoever house they went to put a Nielsen box in your house. Not everybody has a Nielsen box.
Right.
It's a very small chunk. So it's that's why I say it. I think AEW is catering to the audience that they want to cater to, and it's working because getting people to watch it. So I think they're doing a good job.
But here's my thing: how often can we see matches like this on TV before it kind of gets out of hand?
Well, you can't do this every week. You just can't. It's going to get boring after a while, and people are not going to watch. I mean, there's things that you take from the Attitude Era of WWE when they used to show blood all the time. But they didn't show it like every single week. There was like a blood match or death match or somebody being cut open. It just happened every so often.
But, WWE, when they got into the Attitude Era, they were doing some really over-the-top stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of started... WWE, remember that time where Austin invaded Brian Pillman's home? Remember that?
Yeah.
That was like in, I want to say 1997.
And
remember, like, Pillman had a gun, and what happened? The lights went out, and the gun went off, right?
Oh, yeah.
And people lost their minds over that. The network lost their, USA Network lost their minds over that. And then in 1998, we had what was the stable? Kai and Tai kidnapped. Remember, they kidnapped Val Venus and tried to
dismember the sausage.
I don't even want to say it. Like they tied him up. They tied him up. They pulled his tights down, and they tried to chop off his genitalia, because they were trying to get revenge on Val Venus for having sex with Mr. Yamaguchi's wife. And this was, this was like every week on WWE in the Attitude Era. It was It was very racy and edgy and adult. And I don't know. I just think I agree that you can't do stuff like this every week, and maybe you should save something like this for the pay-per-view instead. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's why I say, like, you can't be doing this all the time, but like a one-time shot like this, because I don't think you're gonna see Nick Gage coming back to AEW anytime soon. I think it was a one-time shot, and that's it.
See, and Blood and Guts was a pretty violent match too, you know?
Yeah.
And that was on TNT as well. Also, I wonder if this response from Domino's was just if this was like anti AEW fans trying to, like, you know, it felt a bit like tattletaling to me, you know, like, oh, this kid's doing something bad. Let's tell the teachers and make sure they get in trouble.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's how you play the game sometimes, is you want to try and hurt them, you get them to, like, somebody from WWE unanimously calls and says, "Oh, I saw your advertising on tonight's AEW, and I see that you're okay with all this violence and blood."
Okay, so let's see what else happened on Dynamite last night. So this was like a specially themed Fight for the Fallen event.
Yeah.
So we opened up with the elimination match. Dark Order and Hangman Page faced the Elite. The Elite picked up the win. Hangman tried to valiantly hang in there, but he couldn't get past Omega. And I think, honestly, I think Hangman should have won this one.
I agree. I think so. I didn't like the entrance. Like, I liked Hangman's entrance and the way they brought in
the Space Jam thing. I thought that
was just bad. I don't know why.
Why was it bad?
Easy to me. It just seems so cheesy.
Well, to me, that those guys are, you know, they're being cheesy on purpose because they're heels.
Yeah, but but be a cool cheesy, not a friggin'.
Okay. Boond is back in the comments, and so is Nathan Rita. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you can read it. We're talking about, I believe he's talking about the Attitude Era bits.
Oh, yeah. I still think Hangman should have won that one just to kind of keep this going for a little bit.
I agree.
We had the Ricky Starks celebration. I am high on Ricky Starks right now. How about you?
I like the way he's playing it off. I like the way he's playing off of being a heel.
Oh, here's a big deal. We had an appearance by Hiroshi Tanahashi via video, but Tanahashi wants to face the winner of Lance Archer versus Hickolillo from later in the night for the IWGP US title. I don't know how that's going to work, whether that happens in AEW or New Japan, but at least it means New Japan and AEW are continuing to work together, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, it really is a good thing, and I think it's great to hear. Relationship.
And I think if it means Tanahashi possibly coming and working a match in AEW, all the better. FTR versus Santana and Ortiz, great matchup.
Yeah, that was a good match.
FTR got the win, but it was still a great match nonetheless. Both guys worked really well. I don't know if Cash Wheeler got hurt in that match, but I hope he's doing okay.
It looked like he did. It didn't. It looked like he got really hurt because it didn't look like a staged injury.
Right. But I hopefully he's all right. I haven't heard an update on him yet, but we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
So this was interesting. So AEW announced that they're going to Chicago for the second Rampage in excuse me a second. In Chicago, they're calling it the First Dance. I don't know why they're calling the Rampage the First Dance, because I guess it's their first show in Chicago. I guess it's because of Michael. They called that Michael Jordan documentary The Last Dance.
Yeah, I don't know.
But here's what's interesting: Chicago is the home turf of one WWE wrestler, CM Punk, and during a promo, Darby Allin said, "You'll be there said he'll be there at Rampage in Chicago, which is where people want to prove they're the greatest in AEW, even if you're the best in the world. Clearly in reference to the one and only CM Punk. So we'll get into that a little more later, because that's a bigger story, and I want to finish running down Dynamite. Lance Archer versus Hickolillo. I think Hickolillo made a good showing of himself. He was there with his dad, King Haku, WWE Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Formerly known as Haku and Ming. Archer got the win. I mean, the match served its purpose. It wasn't a great match, but it served its purpose, I think. Showcase Archer, let him get another win, defend the title. But I think Hickolillo looked good for as long as it lasted.
Yeah, I mean, it was sloppy at some parts.
Yeah,
but it was okay. I didn't mind it.
6-man tag: Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy beat the Hardy family off the Hardy family office. It was just average TV match there.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa. So Thunder Rosa's fully signed with AEW now. She's signed to a multi-year deal. They bought out her NWA contract, so this is great because I think Thunder Rosa's a star. I think it's great to have.
And I think this is where we get to see an possible setup her against Britt Baker for the belt.
I think down the line, like that's. If I was Booker, I would ultimately have Thunder Rosa take the title off of Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 to 8 months from now, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Is how I would play it, and kind of play off of their lights out no DQ match.
I agree.
Okay, so and then we had the death match, of course. Now Jon Moxley cut a promo, and he wants to face Tanahashi.
Yeah. So
now we have Tanahashi wants to face Archer for the U.S. title, and Moxley wants a piece of Tanahashi. I wonder how that's going to work.
I really don't know.
Honestly, though, I think if we can get Tanahashi in AEW, or we can do an AEW New Japan show, if that's what we can ultimately get out of this, that would be the best thing.
I agree.
Because honestly, I think New Japan really needs the business right now. Because they've been hurting bad, due to the pandemic.
I haven't heard much from over there. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Well, yeah, they had the Tokyo Dome. They had the Grand Slam card, but they had capacity restrictions due to the pandemic. Also, Kota Ibushi, last I heard, was diagnosed. Let's see, I don't want to mispronounce this.
See, he's still waiting for the PR person from Domino's to give her response on the pizza cutter thing, everybody, folks. So we're still trying. We're trying hard to get the response.
Hold on.
We'll just give her name of Janet. Janet at Domino's.
Aspiration pneumonia, and this was a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, he couldn't work the Tokyo Dome, and he had to get replaced by Tanahashi, who took his place in the title match against Shingo Takagi.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, yeah.
I
hope, first of all, get well soon to Kota Ibushi. I hope you're doing okay, and I hope he fully recovers, because that sounds scary if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Now, New Japan says this has no relation to COVID vaccination or not a result of his inoculation. It also says he tested negative for COVID-19. So apparently this is not COVID-19 related, but make of that what you will.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's what we have coming up next week. Will be Homecoming. So they're calling it Homecoming because next week Dynamite is going back to Jacksonville in Daly's Place. Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black already.
Yeah.
Because Malachi Black attacked Cody last night. Miro versus Lee Johnson for the TNT title. The Bunny versus Layla Hirsch for the NWA Women's title. It's a title eliminator, so I guess the winner gets a shot at the title. Christian Cage versus The Blade. I think they're doing Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black a bit early.
I think so too. I think that's more of a pay-per-view. I would have saved that for All In, but that's just me. It's just the way I feel about it. But
That's definitely a pay-per-view level match,
yeah.
unless they're going to do multiple matches between them.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I said before, you cannot have Cody losing. You cannot have, Malachi Black losing to Cody.
Yeah.
Especially in their first meeting.
Exactly.
Uh,
It just seems too soon and rushed, but that's just me.
Man, and what a turnaround for Miro
Mm-hmm.
As the TNT champion. I think the way they're booking Miro right now is perfect for him, and I think they've really, they had Miro come in. He was kind of the best man thing with Kip Sabian. Then he turned on Kip Sabian, and now I think they did a good job of building up to this character change, and now he's a monster again, like he was in the old days.
And that's a good thing to see because I think he's a good. He plays that very well. Let's leave it that way.
Do you think AEW and NWA can still be friendly with each other, even though like they're buying out Thunder Rosa and all that? And NWA is a really small time promotion if you look at it right now.
I think they can because I think it helps them. It really does help NWA to get eyeballs onto their product.
Okay, so I don't think we even really got into this CM Punk story last week.
No, we didn't,
because it happened. It happened after we did our last show. So here's the news. So according to reports, CM Punk is not yet signed, but he's said to. CM Punk is reportedly in talks to sign with a wrestling promotion to return to the ring, and it's heavily expected he's signed with AEW, and the signs are pointing to him returning to the ring for AEW. Do you think we're going to see Punk in AEW?
It seems more likely now. Let's put it that way. It seems more likely now, and I've been hearing rumors that WWE wasn't exactly too happy with everything that's going on with him. So I don't know how much that's true, but yeah, something tells me it's more and more likely that this is going to happen.
I heard from Andrew Zarian with the Matmen podcast was saying today that that network and broadcast partners with WWE were concerned that Punk could be going to AEW, and also Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. WWE is apparently not as concerned, but their broadcast partners are.
Yeah.
But supposedly they're more upset about Daniel Bryan signing with AEW, which is also the word Daniel Bryan could be bound for AEW.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Okay.
A little bit more in detail, but like I think it's kind of a 50-50 type of thing. It's kind of good that you're pulling people who are available, but yet you don't want to get everybody from WWE, I guess you could say. You kind of want to build up your own talent, your own names and everything like that. Bring in a few, but make sure that you're showcasing what you got.
Okay, so the rumor is from Body Slam is that Bryan will debut on September 22nd at the New York City Grand Slam Dynamite. Mm-hmm. Body Slam, this is more newer information, that talks with Bryan and AEW began in the last few weeks. There were internal discussions about bringing him in, but the two sides didn't start talking until recently. So apparently he's signed a contract, so I guess we're going to find out in a little under 2 months. So,
yeah. And before we end with AEW, Bunda talking about Jericho versus Nick Gage, which we had already talked about right off the bat.
Yeah,
it was so violent.
It was violent. That was bloody.
Bunda's chiming in saying that was the most cringe backyard wrestling match I've ever seen. Yeah, it was.
I don't want to agree with Bunda because I don't really like. I like a certain type of hardcore brawl. Mm-hmm. That wasn't my favorite. I mean, I was fine with it, but only if they do something like that once in a while.
Yeah. See, what kind of tripped me out is that that one move where Nick Gage was gonna put Jericho through that plate of glass, right?
Yeah.
And instead Jericho turns it on Gage, and Gage goes back first into the glass, right?
Right.
If you noticed, when the glass breaks and he lands on it, the glass literally flew out of the ring and literally hit like the barriers on the side.
It was probably like a gimmick glass, right? Like sugar glass or whatever. Whatever they call it. I would hope.
I would hope so, because it literally there you could see the reaction of somebody who was sitting on front row, who was literally like almost just pulling back because the glass was coming towards her.
Did it get on? Did it get on?
I don't know.
That part I missed.
They didn't show it that. The replay shows the reaction very well, but it was yeah, it was brutal.
Wow. So I don't know what's going to happen with Domino's and AEW, but I mean,
are you still on hold with Domino's to get their
yeah, I'm on hold with Domino's because I'm trying to get a comment from their spokesperson,
Jenny, right? I think that was
Jenny's
spokesperson.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
yeah, because we need a comment from Domino's up this one, like what they thought of everything.
Okay, so we also had the quarterly earnings from WWE, quarter 2 earnings call. Vince McMahon talking about AEW.
Wow.
So let's see. This is from Vince was this is from the 411 Mania recap of the earnings call. Vince was asked about how AEW is making significant roster investments and have gained viewership. Does he see them as a competitor? Does he expect to make additional investment to counter them? Vince said he does not see it as a rising tides lift all boats situation like the Monday Night Wars, which was different. Vince McMahon said AEW is where they are and he doesn't know what their plans are. He doesn't consider them competition in the way WCW was, not anywhere near that, and said he isn't sure what their investments are, but perhaps they can give them some more talent. WWE President Nick Khan said everyone is their competition, whether Netflix or anyone else. He said they're looking straight ahead and not at the competition. What do you make of what Vince said about AEW? Is he underestimating them?
I think right now it's still too early, but I think you could act that way. But you could tell if he's talking about them like that he has his eye on them. He has his eye on them. He's taking a look at what they're doing. Because if you're a CEO or the chamber, the head of the board, you don't disregard what they're doing. As ratings are going, like if their ratings were really low, yeah, you're not keeping your eye on them. But I think as ratings have been going up, and as soon as Rampage starts, they're looking. I think they don't see anything right now, but they're keeping an eye on them. And the comment coming in, if AEW got John Cena, he'd be worried they're not getting John Cena. Oh yeah, exactly. John Cena's not going to wrestle anywhere other than a WWE ring.
Okay, so here are the press release numbers from the second quarter 2021 results for WWE. Revenue was $265.6 million, an increase of 19% or $42.2 million. This is mainly due to WrestleMania because WrestleMania was in the second quarter this year.
Yeah.
Operating income was $46.3 million, a decrease of 17% or $9.4 million. Not a lot really stands out here. You can go to WWE's corporate website if you want more detailed results. They're all up there, so you can see them whenever you want. But they're saying key performance metrics improve, and I'm sure they can get a nice increase in revenue after all the people they fired in the last 6 months.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
A lot of people got fired in the second quarter, which second quarter that's April to June, right?
Right.
And that's when
Depending
everyone was getting fired.
Yeah, it depends on when their fiscal year cycle is, but normally
yeah.
it would be April through June.
So basically, and I imagine their third quarter results will be up even more.
Yeah.
So when they report their third quarter earnings for 2021, because of all the firings and because they have live tickets back in quarter three, they're going to be able to boast even higher quarter earnings for the next quarterly earnings call. So there you go.
I agree.
So I'm not saying I agree with it, guys, but that's business, and that's what these publicly traded companies. That's what they do to please their shareholders. It's a rough game. I'm sure you know all about that, right, Mike?
Oh, too much. Too much.
That's just kind of the thing. You gotta please the shareholders, and you gotta keep revenue up and costs down. It's kind of is that not the name of the game?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much
Okay.
that's the game.
Have you seen this press release on the quarterly
No,
earnings?
I haven't.
Okay.
I'm not interested in the second quarter to begin with. I'm more interested in when the third quarter hits, when they opened up, when
Okay.
they started doing live shows.
But I'll give you the link. So we'll give you just a brief show where you can find this. So basically, you can go to corporate.wwe.com, and it's free to look at for everyone because WWE is a public company, so this is publicly available information. So
we put it on the comments after if anybody wants to go check it out and see it.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think it's a good segue to get into WWE and what's going on over there.
Okay, so where should we start? Should we start with SmackDown, Raw? What do you think is most notable for this week?
SmackDown was a mess last week for me.
Okay.
So let's go into I was gonna say let's start with NXT.
Okay, NXT. So the NXT is usually pretty good, and I think it was good this week. I guess the big thing this week is Samoa Joe is returning to the ring, and he's going to wrestle Karrion Kross. So I'm happy to hear that. Samoa Joe's an all-time favorite for me. I've been watching Joe, I think, since like 2004. I'm a big Samoa Joe fan. I've been following his career since like the ROH days, and the early TNA days, TNA, which is now Impact Wrestling. So I'm very happy he's returning to the ring. I hope all of his concussion issues are behind him and he's healthy and ready to go. And I think if they play their cards right, I think this could be a fantastic matchup.
I agree, but I want to ask you this.
Okay.
Karrion Kross losing his opening match on Raw.
Okay.
How does it affect this match? If you follow everything, does it really still make you feel like Karrion Kross is unbeatable?
I think it definitely hurt Karrion Kross. But what's weird is with Karrion Kross on Raw, it's almost like they've totally ignored his NXT run. And now when you went back to Kross on NXT, it's like they completely ignore what's going on with him on Raw.
Yeah.
So
to me, it plays it off like the audience isn't watching both of them.
Yeah.
Which
to me, it's kind of like having the same character in two different, like a comic book superhero, the same character, but in two different universes in two different timelines. Almost is kind of Karina. All right. Do you think Bunda is being facetious when he says Karrion Kross?
I think he just put it in as
or do you think that's a misprint? Because if he's calling him Karrion Kross on purpose, I think that's pretty garbage.
The way they treated him on Raw.
No, I mean they treated him terribly on Raw. I mean, even if you're not a Karrion Kross fan, the way they booked that first Raw match with Jeff Hardy was terrible.
Yeah, when you show a guy who's defeating everybody and then he loses to Jeff Hardy in their first Raw match, it's almost like two different people.
Now, the rumor from Fightful is that Karrion Kross was supposed to wrestle Jeff Hardy again last Monday and lose to Jeff Hardy again last Monday. Jeff Hardy did not make it to Raw because he has COVID. He has COVID, so he had to withdraw from Raw on Monday night. And then, oddly enough, Karrion Kross wrestled Keith Lee and beat Keith Lee. And now all the Keith Lee fans are upset because Keith Lee is losing back-to-back matches now.
Exactly. And see, I was right. It was a misspelling.
I don't know how to spell his name. That's what my Google keyboard suggested. It's Karrion. Karrion.
You better get that right.
Yeah, I got it right. I just had to think about it in my head for a second.
But no, it's just this whole. It's like NXT has some great talent. They put on a great show. I've been happier with NXT than I have been with Raw. I don't like what they're doing with the product. I really don't like what upper management is doing with NXT, I should say.
So Raquel Gonzalez beat Xia Li. That was good. Drake Maverick beat LA Knight, which is surprising. It's kind of a fluky win, though. Odyssey Jones beat Andre Chase. Kyle O'Reilly beat Austin Theory of The Way. Frankie Monet beat JC Jane. And Kushida and Bobby Fish beat Tyler Rust and Roderick Strong. So the match between Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe is supposed to happen in NXT TakeOver 36, which is going to be in September.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was the day after Sunday after SummerSlam.
No, I guess they moved it. NXT TakeOver. Oh wait, unless we get the. Oh, it's August 22nd. Excuse me.
Yeah,
so it will be the day after SummerSlam. I don't know. Yeah. Someone else had it down as September. I don't know why, but yeah, it's August 22nd, the Sunday after SummerSlam. It's not going to be in Vegas. It's going to be in Orlando. So while WWE SummerSlam is in Vegas, NXT TakeOver is in Orlando. But I'm happy that we're going to get Samoa Joe back in the ring, and at least Karrion Kross. I see no reason it should be a bad matchup, really.
No, I agree. But there's two things that really stood out last
okay.
night. Well, Tuesday night for NXT was one, the LA Knight Cameron Grimes segments were hilarious.
We got Ted DiBiase back.
Yeah, a little Ted DiBiase cameo, but they were funny. They were good. And second, Dakota Kai, which we didn't mention in that what happened after Raquel Gonzalez's match. I mean, Dakota Kai turning her back on Raquel Gonzalez, which we already know. It was pretty much like if you follow it week to week, you knew it was going to happen. Something tells me, and this is just me, and I think I mentioned it to you, but before we even hit the air, is the fact that something tells me Raquel Gonzalez is going to go up to the main card and is going to lose the championship belt to Dakota Kai. What are your thoughts?
I think Dakota Kai would be a good person to take the belts off of Raquel Gonzalez. I just hope if Raquel Gonzalez goes up to the main roster, it's not going to be a rotten carrot like it was for Mercedes Martinez, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. SmackDown could definitely use her right now because SmackDown is just short on women's talent. And
there's a rumor that she's going it is a rumor because I was still listening to Busted Open, their podcast when they were talking about this, and they're thinking that she's going to go to Raw because Raw needs talent, needs a female talent.
Raw needs numbers is what they really need.
Yeah.
If you really like, Raw is technically the flagship, but if you look at the numbers right now, flagship is really SmackDown. The one pulling its weight and getting the better numbers and ratings is SmackDown. So I guess the question is, does a talent like Raquel Gonzalez, does she help with the ratings with the way they're currently booking the product? And my thing about Raw, I feel like everyone is just being set up to fail there.
I agree.
Look at Karrion Kross. Look at what happened with Karrion Kross last week. Now, the other rumor Andrew Zarian reported on Mat Men is that they're waiting to bring in Scarlett on Raw, and Scarlett will come in and help Karrion Kross, like, sort of unleash the beast, so to speak, and kind of unleash the inner monster and sort of help him win at some point. But now he's already won against Keith Lee, so are they just going to ignore that when they bring Scarlett in? I don't know. What do you think of that idea?
It's an interesting idea. I don't know about. I don't know. I think if they were going to bring her in, they should have brought her in right off the bat.
If that's the idea, okay. You just said it. Like, why not just do that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But we do have a comment about. Yeah, we do have a comment about SmackDown. So
okay,
Raw was a little bit of a mess, but let's get into SmackDown, and that was a mess. So that whole show should have just been at one place instead of two different places. But we got a comment about SmackDown. They need to take the belt off of Bianca Belair, the one with that long hair. She's awful as a champion. You know what?
Bunda, you're awful as a wrestling fan, Bunda.
This is the one time, after seeing how the booking was for this past Friday, I may have to agree.
Why?
And here's my reasoning. Here's my reasoning. You throw her into a situation, like, I wouldn't even have put her, if you want her to be champion long term, I wouldn't have thrown her at that music festival that was in Miami.
What was wrong with that?
Here's the reason. It was dead. The fans did not get any.
It was a music festival in Miami. Come on.
Exactly. You don't send your best people to a music festival in Miami when you know they're not. They don't.
You send your worst. You send your worst people.
You send your medium, your middle cards.
Okay.
That's what you do. You send your middle cards, the guys that are not like they got like a tag team champions. Fine. You do like what they did with the Street Profits. You send them. But you don't have a championship match there because everything they did not get a pop. It didn't look good. And
I don't even think those fans even knew what I don't even think those fans knew what they were looking at, though, Mike.
Yeah, and there you go. No one in that Miami concert cared, and I agree with Bunda. You don't place your talent in some place where.
Okay, but that doesn't mean Bianca Belair is a terrible champion.
Well, if you're a great champion, let's just put it this way: if you put somebody there who's gonna give it a pop, and you're gonna get that crowd to come off of their asses and stand up and cheer, it shows how good of a champion you are and how much.
Yeah, but like not everyone can be Ric Flair at Collision in Korea against who was it? Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's like, here's the thing. It was on Fox. It was on national television.
I don't know. To me, that was not even worst case scenario.
To me, it was, and it's just the fact that, like,
you're mean, Mike. This is the meanest I've ever seen you.
I'm not being mean. I'm being realistic.
I'm being realistic. You're being a little mean.
I'm being realistic.
Okay,
because like it's not like if you're gonna put her in that type of situation, you don't put her on national TV into a crowd like that. One, I would never have even put anything on that concert festival. Would not even have anything there. And if you are gonna have it, you have it off of main stage. You don't put it on a concert stage.
Well, what was weird is they didn't even do the whole show at Rolling Loud. They had some of the segments that looked like they were taped earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not at the Rolling Loud. Like the match was at Rolling Loud.
Yeah.
The Carmella Belair match. What else? Yeah. So we also had Toni Storm versus Zelina Vega. Mm-hmm. Toni Storm picked up another win. Man, Zelina Vega just can't. She comes back to WWE and it's like she can't get a break.
Yeah. I'll leave that on
I
there.
don't know. I don't know. Was this really a good move for Selena Vega to come back?
See, this is what I'm saying. It's even with that, it's the thought process in the booking that just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not saying she should have beaten Toni Storm. I'm just saying, did you need to have Toni Storm beating Zelina Vega last Friday night?
No, you do like the old days. Remember back in the 80s, 90s when a new wrestler would come in who's going to get a big pop, you throw in some ham and egger, some jobber in there so that you get the win?
Why do they not use the ham and eggers? Use the ham and eggers. Use the jobbers. Yeah. Can I ask Bunda a question? Bunda, is there a wrestler you do like? WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, anywhere?
Didn't he see Goldberg at one time?
Huh? I'm not counting. I'm not counting Goldberg. Bianca wasn't even on the money. She wasn't on the Money in the Bank because Bayley got injured, so they had to shuffle the deck. That's not her fault. Bayley got hurt. Bayley was supposed to be wrestling Bianca in a last woman standing match, as I recall, right?
Yeah.
And then she got hurt.
Then they moved that match out to Fox.
Bunda also says they need to take the belt off Bianca Belair, the one with the long hair. Oh, we already read.
Yeah, that's the one we brought up. It's just like I mean, I like Bianca Belair. Okay. I just think that the way, like, I have nothing against her character. It's the way they're presenting her.
Okay, fair enough.
Makes you want to say, okay, let's take the belt off of her and give it to somebody else. If they would have not presented her like that, everything would be fine.
Okay.
But I think it's bad booking.
Well, we did have Finn Balor come back to the ring. He beat Sami Zayn, and now it looks like he's going to be wrestling Roman Reigns. I guess are they going to wrestle this week? Because he came out to challenge Reigns. Reigns said challenge accepted. So does that mean they wrestle this week?
I do not know. They didn't say anything. I thought that was going to be the SummerSlam match, and they axed the John Cena one.
Because SummerSlam, I think they're holding off announcing it on TV first. But I don't think they've announced. I don't think they've announced Finn Balor versus Reigns for tomorrow on SmackDown yet.
No.
Here's some other interesting news about John Cena, by the way. Mm-hmm. John Cena is working SummerSlam, and he's going to be working one more show after that. He's going to be working another show in September, SmackDown in Madison Square Garden, September 10th, and that is Friday Night SmackDown. So even though we thought Cena was leaving after SummerSlam, he's going to be doing at least one more SmackDown the following month at Madison Square Garden. So,
yeah. Oh, and
he's by the way, supposed to be filming a movie in Europe with the Matthew Vaughn movie, Argyle.
Yeah.
John Cena, Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins. You know the good one. you know, a few years ago, Bunda, Bobby Lashley was in some of the worst angles I can ever think of in wrestling. You know, with his sisters, and then marrying Lana. Not very.
I gotta admit that was bad. Lana thing was bad.
It took the Hurt Business sort of revamping Lashley's image and sort of getting him back to business to really get him back on track. He probably likes Brock Lesnar too.
Probably.
What do you make? What do you make of they're going to squeeze one more out for Cena?
It's kind of overkill to me, but I think the only reason why they're doing it is because it's going to be a Madison Square Garden to get a good pop for television. That's the only reason.
We have to mention the true highlight from SmackDown, though. I think you're going to like this.
Okay.
The Paul remember the Paul Heyman moment, and I think we gotta put this. We gotta put this on here. So let's see. I'm finding the clip. Here it is. So basically, we had Paul Heyman doing the John Cena theme, doing the John Cena theme during his promo on SmackDown last week, and it went viral. And credit to Paul Heyman, because that is and Paul Heyman is a master of the mic, but that was probably one of his greatest moments ever, don't you think? So there, I sent you the.
Be honest, it was
Did you
bad.
cringe? You thought it was man?
It was so
you're
cringe
cold
worthy.
stone, Mike. You are so cold stone.
It was so...
Everyone loved this. He was doing the Cena music. So I guess we can't play it, but yeah, that's Paul Heyman. He was freestyling. He was not singing the lyrics. He was singing like the musical notes. Come on, how could you not like that?
Even the audience was not even booing. They were not laughing. It was just kind of like, oh. It took the air out of the building.
It was trending on Twitter. Why are you being such a spoil sport over this, Mike?
Dude,
people were going crazy over this on social media.
It was so bad to me.
Why was it bad? Tell me why it was bad.
You know what it is? It's the fact that it's so childish. It's so childish. We've already seen this already. It's happened so many times.
It's like what Roman
Reigns. It's like Roman Reigns said. You come back, you do your thing all over again. We've seen it before. Blah 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 blah. And this is with Heyman coming out and doing that. It's like we've seen this already for almost a year with Roman Reigns.
You hurt my feelings, Mike.
And he's supposed to be. Wait,
you have wounded me.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. Paul Heyman is supposed to be representing the head of the table.
Okay.
A high chief, a person who's the metal. In Spanish, it would be the metal. The top of the line. You would think that he would be acting in that same fashion as a representative.
Mike, every word you have just spoken is a white, burning hot needle straight into my heart. With your words,
I'm telling you, it
needles,
was just
needles right into my heart, Mike.
There's very little.
There's another needle. Another needle
that I would agree with Roman Reigns, but this one I did. And I think the way they said it at the end, where he was just talking about it and being with a challenge, being just.
However many number of words you just spoke in the last 5 minutes has been a searing, burning white hot needle straight into my very being. And I don't know if I can come back from this. I don't know if I can cope with this.
I like good wrestling, and I just don't like this. And I don't like good stupid skits like this one. I really don't.
As far as skits go, there have been way worse.
Oh, they've been a lot worse.
Speaking of the Kai and Val Venus was like, maybe at the time you thought it was like really funny, but like looking back on it now, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's embarrassing to look back on Sergeant Slaughter as the Iraqi Saddam Hussein sympathizer. You know, remember that from the early 90s.
Remember that. During the Gulf War. First one.
Exactly.
That one. But it kind of fit, but it fit into what was going on in the day. And they stuck with it. Back then, they stuck with their promos and their gimmicks until they ended. This one just seems like, oh, God, it just wasn't.
Okay, now here's an interesting rumor that came out on Friday of last week. The Wrestling Observer newsletter says WWE is interested in bringing back Braun Strowman after firing him in June. The urge to bring him back is due to recent AEW signings of released talents such as Andrade and Malachi Black. Do you think this is serious news, and do you think WWE might actually bring back Braun Strowman?
It wouldn't shock me, but why would he come back? Let's be honest. Why would he come back after being let go? What are they going to do with him? The same gimmick, the same storyline, just put it into an updated timeline? It's just like, okay. If I was him, I would go sign with AEW and just say,
well, okay. Well, here's what I would say. Chances are, in WWE, you can still get like maximum earning potential that you probably can't get in AEW because here's my point. in WWE, you get the royalties, right? You get the merchandise royalties, and you can get. And AEW, they do have merchandise, but not like WWE.
No, not yet.
And you have the WWE marketing machine behind you, and there is value in that as well. So there's that. So if it's about money with Strowman, even if he comes back, even if he were to come back to less money than what he was getting before, there's still a possibility he could be making more money than he would in AEW. So
yeah. And we got a comment coming in from
I guess it just depends on what's more important to him.
Yeah, and this Bunda's comment kind of goes with that. Strowman is going to come back because of the two C's, as JR puts it, creative and cash.
Well, I mean, what's so creative?
That's the thing. See, that's the thing that I'm kind of like wondering. Like, yeah, the money's there. WWE has the money. The creative part is where I think they were doing a great thing with him with his promos last year.
Here's my other thing about AEW. They have too many guys.
They do.
So let's say hypothetically, AEW signed CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Let's say they were to sign Braun. Where does Braun fit in this picture? Because you already have Kenny Omega, you have Hangman Page, and then you have new guys like Andrade, Malachi Black, and Miro, newer guys. Then you have guys who are like up and comers like Darby Allin and Jungle Boy. So where does Braun Strowman fit in there? And how do you use him as a top tier talent? And then when you also have other guys who came there to get that push they weren't getting in WWE, like Malachi Black, like Andrade, you can't. Not everyone can be at the top of the mountain, and not everyone can be world champion. And what is it that Braun Strowman wants out of an AEW deal? I guess it depends.
And I agree with you on that one. If both of those guys get signed, Braun Strowman doesn't have nowhere to fit in on AEW.
The other thing is, Braun's girlfriend works for WWE, and I mean, that's not the only thing to take into consideration, because obviously Daniel Bryan's wife Brie Bella still has that long association with WWE and is one of their big ambassadors, but he's probably going to AEW. So that's not like the only reason. But I think the money and the marketing would probably be the major reason. I mean, Dean Ambrose is just lost. No, he's okay. Do you really agree with this?
No, that I don't agree with. He's been getting some of the best storylines out of the.
He was world champion for over a year.
He had the IWGP belt, US belt.
And they were pushing that aspect on AEW TV. And now they're building up. Maybe we can get a crossover angle with him and Tanahashi, which would be an epic crossover matchup. So yeah,
and also too with Dean Ambrose's, John Moxley, what he's at now. It's more of a hardcore, more intense. Like he can't do that intense, hardcore type of style in WWE. They're gonna play him down. They're gonna strip him down.
He did leave for this, Bunda. He's still getting paid well. He has more creative freedom, and he can bounce around. He can work in Bloodsport. He can work in New Japan. He can do things in AEW he wasn't allowed to do in WWE.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's the freedom.
Bunda, Tanahashi is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. It's like with WWE, it's like a circus. You're working so many days out of the year, so much time. Whereas in AEW, you're doing what, one a week now, two shows a week, and that's it.
I mean, look, Moxley was world champion in WWE, and when he was world champion, he wasn't even treated as the face of the company, as far as I'm concerned. No. When Moxley was champion in AEW, he was treated as their top guy. He was treated as the top guy in the company.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. You got to look at it this way in his personal life. He now has a kid.
Yeah.
This allows him more time to be able to spend with his family because he's not wrestling every single day, doing house shows, doing Raw, doing SmackDown, doing pay-per-views. All he's doing is 2 shows a week and an occasional pay-per-view over the weekend.
I
That's
think
it.
I think that comes into play for a guy like Daniel Bryan as well.
Exactly.
Because
And if
he'll
if he
be
wants to
working,
go somewhere, and that's the thing, if he wants to go do another, he could pick up another thing somewhere else and do other things, he can.
and he'd still be working less time than he would be in WWE. That's the thing.
And that's another thing too. I'm curious to see what their contracts are like, because he may have the freedom to even go do a movie and not have to get approval from AEW, or to do
I
other
think
things
that
outside.
I think that's the other thing, because in WWE they basically run your whole life.
Yeah.
If you want to do a movie role, if you want to do a TV, if you want a sponsorship, like it all has to go through WWE. In AEW, they don't have as many restrictions on third-party stuff, which they shouldn't, because these guys are independent contractors, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they're doing something outside of wrestling, AEW should not have any say in it.
And here's the thing.
Okay.
Let me bring up that comment so you can bring it up, and then we'll go into something.
Yeah. Look, there's a world champion in awe. There's a
AEW.
I thought he said awe, like in awe of. There's an AEW championship. How many belts are over there? They mean how many belts are in WWE, Bunda? You have the Universal Champion, you have the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, you have the IC Champion, the US Champion, you have the Tag Team Champions on both shows. Then you have the 24/7 champion. You have the NXT champion, the North American champion. Bunda, are we really going to play that game here, Bunda?
And here's the thing.
And you want to know what else? Bunda's going to ignore this, because that's what Bunda does. Because Bunda doesn't. Because Bunda's under my skin, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm angry.
On this one, I agree with you, because a lot of the belts that they're presenting on AEW, one, you got the IWGP, or was it the US Championship from Japan?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been around for some time. You've had some great wrestlers who have actually held that belt. You got Kenny Omega bringing the AAA belt,
right,
from Mexico,
and the Impact.
In the Impact, well,
those are titles from outside organizations.
Yeah, those two titles alone are from outside of the country,
or AAA.
And then New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right,
you got two belts that are from other organizations outside of the country.
Their belts. Here are their belts: the World Title, the TNT Title, the Tag Titles, and the Women's Titles. They have 4 titles. 4.
Yeah.
8. WWE has like a dozen.
20 something.
A lot. If you count NXT, if you count NXT UK, they have a lot of titles. Okay, and then if you just want to go on the main roster, they have 2. They have Universal Title, the World Title, US IC, Raw and SmackDown Women's, Raw and SmackDown Tag Team, and Women's Tag Team, and 24/7. So that's 10 titles. 10 titles, Bunda, on 2 shows. On 2 shows, they have 10 titles.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 3 shows, because NXT, the way they're treating them, they treat them like the little.
I'm not even counting NXT. I'm not even counting NXT right now. Raw and SmackDown, they have 10 titles between those shows. 10 titles. Mike,
and here's the thing. This is something that I've always brought up.
Okay.
And something I wanted to talk about for a long time on this show.
Shut up, Bunda.
Is a lot of the WWE wrestlers are lifers in WWE.
Yeah.
They've been there. That's all they've wrestled. They've never gone out anywhere else.
Yeah.
With AEW's product, they've been around the world. They've wrestled around the world. They've wrestled people who are famous worldwide. They've been places. They've been anywhere. Some of these wrestlers that are in WWE who have been there for a long time. We're not talking about like the AJ Styles or anybody else who's
Roman
been in
Reigns
another place.
has had basically his whole career has been WWE.
Yeah. Like a Roman Reigns, like Randy Orton.
Before he got released, Braun Strowman. Most of his career was probably WWE.
Yeah. I don't know how these guys would
How would they do in the indies, and how would they do outside of WWE, basically?
Exactly. Like even though Kalisto's no longer a WWE wrestler,
right?
He wrestled in Mexico.
So did
He's wrestled in Japan. He wrestled all over the world.
So did Andrade as La Sombra.
Exactly, and that's the thing. A lot of these WWE guys have been in this system. This is where they're going to be. They're not going to wrestle anywhere else, and that's why, like Daniel Bryan, I'm not shocked that he goes to AEW because he's done other things. He's been in with other organizations.
Oh, okay. Bunda's playing the technically 9. Nobody cares about. It's still a title, Bunda. Reginald has the title. It's still a title. It's on Raw every week. Mm-hmm. It's featured on TV every week on over 2 shows. They have 10, Bunda. Eat it.
Yep.
Eat that fact.
And that 24/7.
Bunda, I'm drinking your milkshake up.
You know what that's going to sound like on a podcast audio only, right? Just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm quoting. I'm quoting. There will be blood. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
That first, you're doing the sound.
I don't care.
I'm
owning it.
But it's like the 24/7 championship is one of the worst things that they ever brought back.
I do like Reginald though. And I do like his acrobatics.
Yeah.
I feel like if they could figure something out, a better character for Reginald, I think he could be like gold.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting. TNT does seem to be very happy with Dynamite's performance. They put out a press release saying TNT AEW Dynamite holds strong as Wednesday's #1 cable program for the 3rd straight week. So despite the controversy with Domino's Pizza, TNT seems to be happy. So yeah. I guess that's the important thing.
Yeah, and I got a press release earlier this week pushing their August shows. And the first thing in the press release is AEW Rampage.
That's right. Well, Rampage is premiering next week, so that'll be a big one. And that'll be a big test because I think Rampage is running... I think the plan is for it to run on Friday after SmackDown ends.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see what kind of numbers they can get on. No, I think they premiere. Let's see.
I got the press release right here. August 13th.
Yeah.
Is the premiere date for that. But look at, TNT's really pushing it. Like even on their subject headline, it said All Elite Wrestling Rampage premiere and more airing on TNT. If you're not confident with the product, you're not putting that in as your sale point for a press release.
Elsewhere, did you see Matt Cardona won the GCW title?
Yeah.
Did you see the visual of him just getting trash pelted at him?
Yep. And did you see how like everybody just talking crap to him?
Oh man. I hope he's okay.
He looks okay. He was here in Southern California. You know that,
right? I didn't know he was in SoCal, but
yeah, he was at Universal Studios Hollywood on Sunday, Monday, and then he went to Disneyland.
Okay, I forgot. I knew he went on a Disney trip. I didn't know if it was in California Disney. So let's see. Do we want to show a bit of the visual?
Yeah,
bloody visual.
Definitely, because it was a part of the match.
And this got a ton of buzz over the weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
But that looked just crazy because you had fans just pelting garbage.
Yeah. And that's really dangerous too when you think about it. What if something got into an eye or?
No, I heard they were throwing full cans. Full drink cans at him. Let's see. I want to. Okay, here we go. So basically, Matt Cardona beat Nick Gage, and he won the GCW World Title. And it was a bloodbath. It was a bloody brawl. And after he won, the fans who love Gage so much, started throwing garbage at Cardona, and it was crazy. It was kind of reminded me of when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO, really.
Yeah, except I don't think they had any cans because it was
or like
inside
an
of
old
the
ECW show.
yeah.
But
Let's
I'm glad Cardona is okay, because I mean, no kidding, he could have gotten seriously hurt when when your people are just pumping trash at you. Good Lord.
Exactly. Let's put some audio on that.
Yeah, because this was a fan video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're throwing drinks at him, man. It's crazy.
Mm.
Like, his shirt was white. His shirt was white before the match started, and then after it was over, it was like stained with blood.
Exactly.
Well, that was
Ended with that. Give the guy a little shout out for putting that up.
Yeah. But then
But dude, that match was brutal. And then you saw a picture. He posted a picture on Instagram where it showed his back of his arm and his back, and it was
it was horrible.
And Chelsea Green was with him and was taking care of him, because it's like, dude, he was bleeding even at night when he was asleep. He even took a picture of his bed in his hotel room.
I saw that. It looked horrible.
It was bad.
Horrible.
Which I never see. That's a guy who Matt Cardona has really changed his whole persona from being woo woo woo, to being
now he's always ready. He's
always ready, and he's showing it too. Because I would never think of Matt Cardona fighting in that type of a style, but hey, he proved me wrong. Amazing work for him. He did an awesome job.
Okay, something else interesting. WWE Hall of Famer tells Fightful that after he retired from WWE, he said he got offers from both AEW and Impact Wrestling. AEW wanted him to have a run after he was retired, but he said he was too beat up to compete at his level he used to. Impact wanted him for a one-shot deal, and it would be a soft spot, but he also never considered it. So this was after this was after WrestleMania 35.
Was there a name to that, or
Fightful?
Fightful.
Apparently, apparently he told this to Fightful directly, so it's probably going to be talked about in an interview coming up. So yeah, and Fightful is I would say Fightful's pretty legit for the most part.
Yeah,
they have I would say they have a solid track record, and this isn't like we have a source. This is like Kurt Angle told them directly about this.
Oh, okay.
So chances are they interviewed him and talked to him about that. But I think I'm glad Angle didn't come back. I think it's for the best he stays retired.
I agree. I heard the injuries are catching up to him, and I think sometimes you just have to know when to say no. I'm done.
I mean, when he debuted in TNA, he basically should have taken a year off before he started wrestling in TNA. Basically.
Yeah. But like I say, like Kurt Angle should enjoy his time. He's worked hard. I mean, he is a real Olympic gold medalist. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and enjoy your time off. Enjoy, and hopefully, like I say, CBD oil really does help.
Now, Braun Strowman is teasing on his Instagram that he has some big moves coming. He's not saying what they are, but he is teasing something. So I guess we'll be fine. Whatever plans Braun Strowman has, we'll be finding out soon. I bet Bunda, you probably like Braun Strowman, right? Bunda?
Well,
let us know.
Bunda's already taken off from the show today, so I'm sure he'll be back.
Bunda, you disappoint me, young lad. You give me such a hard time. You give me such a hard time on this show, and then you bail, and then he abandons me.
Hey, I can't complain about Bunda. He comes in with some good comments. Mike, he really does make it fun.
And you, Mike, you stab me with white hot needles, and you don't even care.
Well,
all right. Any other
on the phone with Domino's? Damn.
I need this statement from Domino's, okay?
Jeez, you'd think by now the great Jeffrey Harris from 411 Mania would have already been on. They would have already answered the phone and
they're keeping me in suspense. Okay. Yes, any other major news items we need to get into here?
No, I think we're good for this week. We've already covered everything.
Okay, so SmackDown tomorrow will probably be getting some sort of angle between Finn Balor and Raymond.
Oh, Raven.
Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. And then probably John Cena will probably be making an appearance. And then I'm sure Bunda will have a lot to say about Bianca Belair, who he does not care for.
Yeah.
So you can find me at 411mania.com. Check out my review of Jungle Cruise. My podcast is the 411 Wrestling Interviews Podcast. You can check that out on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. And I just confirmed an interview for next week. So be on the lookout for that next week. It is a very notable wrestling superstar, and I'm very excited. So I hope it turns out well. We've got it all agreed to on paper. So it's just a formality that it happens at this point. So I'm very excited.
Cool. And Jeffrey, I wanted to just ask you, with the Jungle Cruise, how was the backside of water?
I liked the movie. Wait, is this a trick question?
No, on the ride, how they always say is now the eighth wonder of the world, the backside of water.
That joke. I forgot that joke is in the movie.
Yeah, well, it has to be. I mean, and that's the Jungle Cruise. That's like been around since 1955.
The last time I did the Jungle Cruise ride was a few years ago, and I don't think they did that joke. Because I think the tour guides like to mix it up.
Oh yeah, they do. Every tour guide has they have their script and then what they could go off on.
But the movie does play off of the whole, the tour guides doing bad puns and doing jokes but yeah, I think if you're a fan of the whole Jungle Cruise experience, they definitely, yeah. But backside of water is just not ingrained for me. Big thing. Even though
if you grew up in Houston, I would think you would be you would naturally go to, if you're going to Disney Park, you would go to Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah. Usually that's what we would do. And I guess I don't know that for whatever reason that line never registered that very well with me, but that joke is in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully we could maybe make a trip out to Walt Disney World and we could check it out over there.
You want to know what okay. You want to know what I think about the backside of water?
What?
It looks the same as the front.
And with that, we'll leave you guys to think about that one. But you can check us out here on MUSE TV. You can check me out here. Once again, we got to thank our partners at Tascam for the Model 12 soundboard that we're using. It's a great board. We love it. We are going to be making a special announcement tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be posting when that announcement time will be sometime tonight. So keep an eye out. It will be live. So I don't know what it's going to be like, but we're going to do something. Just to talk about what we're going to be doing in the next couple of years and this year very soon. With all that, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Thank you for listening. You guys make this all possible, and we can't thank you enough. So we'll see you next time here on This Week in Pro Wrestling, and we'll make sure that next week we'll start off and see if Jeffrey's still on the phone with Domino's to get that reaction from them to see what they have to say about AEW this past week. So talk to you later. Bye.